Is your house haunted, or is it just my heart racing from meeting you? I am currently in Saudi Arabia, and the story I want to share with you is about the house from my childhood in Lahore, located in Cavalry ground. The story begins when we were young. My younger brother and I used to play in the evenings, and we had 2 dogs with whom we spent most of our time playing. This was in the late 90s, a time when gadgets weren't so common, so we mostly played outdoors. One day, after playing, my younger brother, who is a year younger than me, suddenly developed a high fever. Because of this, our mother didn't send him to school the next day, and she also got me a day off from school. The next morning, my parents, my brother, and I were sitting in our lawn. My brother was sleeping due to his fever. Suddenly, my elder sister came running out in a panic, saying something was wrong with our brother and we should check on him. When we rushed inside, we saw him lying on the bed, stiff as a board, in the shape of a Christian cross. His eyes were rolled back, and his body was rigid like a piece of wood. Despite our efforts to shake him, he wouldn't come to. My mother recited prayers and splashed water on him, and eventually, he regained consciousness. But when he came to, he had no memory of what had happened. We couldn't understand what was happening to him at the time, but these episodes started getting worse. At night, he would get up, and usually, he'd be in a state where he'd walk around with his eyes open, almost like sleepwalking. His eyes would be red, as if he'd been crying, and he wouldn't be conscious or even blink. Most of the time, he would come to me, whether I was sleeping, watching TV, or eating. This was terrifying for me because I was young myself, maybe 9 or 10 years old at the time. These experiences were very disturbing. Often, I'd be sleeping, and when I turned over, I'd find my brother standing by my bedside, staring at me without blinking. It was like someone was sitting right by my face, watching me. Once, I gathered the courage to try talking to him, but most of the time, I'd get scared and run to wake my parents. These episodes became very common. He would often say strange, disturbing things in that state. For example, one day I came home from school, and he was home because he wasn't feeling well. I was eating when he woke up, came over, and sat on the sofa next to me. I knew he was staring at me, but I pretended not to notice. When I finally looked at him, his eyes were red, tears were streaming down, and he was staring at me blankly. When I asked him what was wrong, he said, "Come with me. I need to show you something." My parents had told me to go along with whatever he said in that state, so I followed him. He took me to the storeroom inside our room and said, "Look, our pet dog is hanging there. They've hung it upside down and skinned it completely." He kept crying and repeating this. I ran to tell my parents, who immediately grabbed him, hugged him, and tried to bring him back to consciousness. When he came to, he had no memory of it. We took him to many doctors, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong. They suggested it might be an allergic reaction from playing too much with the dogs, so they treated him accordingly. But we couldn't understand what was really happening. After this incident, my brother and I started frequently hearing knocking sounds, like 3 knocks on the bathroom window. These incidents became so common that we were too scared to even go to the bathroom. When we told our parents, they dismissed it as a cat or a bird, giving rational explanations to silence us. But we felt something was present in that house, targeting only us. Over time, these incidents became routine, and my brother and I got used to them. His health eventually improved, and he returned to school. As kids, we were fascinated by horror movies, so one day we decided to watch The Exorcist. We weren't allowed to, but we secretly got the VHS and watched it. People say that movie is cursed, but we were too young to realize it was based on a true story. We just kept watching it repeatedly in our naivety. One night, I woke up at 2 a.m. and heard sounds exactly like those in The Exorcist. The demonic noises during the exorcism coming from the window by my bed. They were so loud that I was terrified. It was winter, and everything was quiet. I pulled the blanket over my face, covered my ears, and started reciting Ayatul Kursi and other prayers silently. I don't know when I fell back asleep, but I kept my ears covered tightly to block out the noise. In the morning, I told my family, but as usual, no one believed me. They said it was because I watched horror movies, and it was all in my head. The next night, at the same time, I woke up again to the same sounds. So close, it felt like something was standing right next to me. I mustered the courage to wake my sister, who was sleeping beside me, and she heard them too. We were trembling with fear, hid under the blanket, and somehow made it through the night. In the morning, we told our mother, but she dismissed it as our imagination or animals fighting outside. Our dogs would bark during these incidents, but it felt like they were barking from a distance, as if they were scared to come closer to whatever it was. These disturbing sounds continued for days, and no one believed us. Finally, my parents decided to stay up one night to see where the noises were coming from. But after that night, the sound stopped, as if whatever it was knew we were trying to catch it and was mocking us. Some time later, one night, I woke up to vibrations in the room. I woke my sister, and we felt the doors and windows shaking slightly, like the vibrations from a car engine starting. Then, suddenly, a blindingly bright light passed through our room, from one window to the other, illuminating the room like it was daytime. We were stunned, unable to comprehend what it was. We ran to our parents, who suggested it might have been an airplane landing nearby, but that explanation didn't make sense. These experiences were so frequent that, as school-going kids, we became depressed. I dreaded going home, knowing I'd have to face these things again. It got to the point where if I didn't feel that presence one day, it felt like the day wasn't complete. Eventually, my elder sister got married. My brother moved to another room, and I was alone in the room during my college years. I had a routine of studying late at night, listening to my CD player, and then sleeping. One night, after studying, I was lying down listening to music with the door half open, because I was scared to close it completely. When I turned to my left, I saw a shadowy figure standing behind the door, as tall as the door itself. I could make out its head and shoulders, but not its face. As soon as I sat up, it faded away within seconds. I was too scared to get out of bed and spent hours reciting prayers until dawn. Another night, I saw a glowing orb circling around a Quranic verse my father had placed near the storeroom door to make me feel safe. As I sat up, the orb flew through me, and I felt a pressure, like air, passing through my body. My ears started ringing for several seconds, and I was in shock. After that, I asked my brother to sleep in my room, because I was too scared to be alone. He slept on a sofa bed. A few nights later, as I was lying down, I felt 3 scratches on my back, like fingernails. Thinking it was my brother, I turned around angrily, but no one was there. He was fast asleep on the sofa bed. When I woke him and asked if he'd been near me, he was confused and scared too. We started connecting these incidents to our neighbor's house, which was filthy, full of garbage and broken furniture. My room was right next to their alley, so I thought maybe some negative energy or entity was targeting my room specifically. We stopped telling anyone because no one believed us. One time, my elder sister visited with her young daughter, about 3 or 4 years old. One night, around 12:30 or 1 a.m., her daughter started screaming and crying, saying she saw something with bright red eyes looking through the window. This terrified us because we thought these incidents were limited to my room, but now it was happening in other rooms, targeting children. These events became so common that it felt like this entity was part of the house, only bothering the kids. One day, while eating in the TV room, I looked at the main entrance, which had a wooden door and a mesh door. The wooden door was open, but the mesh door was closed. I saw a girl, about 13 or 14 years old, peering inside with her hands on the mesh. Thinking it was someone who had wandered in, I ran toward her, but she vanished. I checked all the doors, but everything was locked. I told my mother, but she dismissed it as usual. I also frequently found small snakes, the size of a finger, in my room. I'd be studying, and suddenly I'd see one on the floor. I'd catch them, kill them, and throw them out, but I never understood where they came from. One evening, while we were having tea in the TV room, my brother and I saw a child, about 8 or 9 years old, in tattered clothes, run through the back entrance and into my room. We ran after him, thinking someone had broken in, but when we checked, there was no one there, not under the bed, in the storeroom, or anywhere else. These incidents were so common, especially for me and my brother, that we got used to them. Even now, I'm so sensitive to these things that I can feel their presence. After I got married and moved to Saudi Arabia with my husband, I had another incident. We lived in an old, well-known building from the British era. One morning, after my kids and husband left, I was alone and decided to rest. As I lay down, I heard a scratching sound at the door. I checked but found nothing. Then, the TV turned on by itself at full volume. I thought someone had broken in, but the remote was on the dressing table, not near the bed. I turned off the TV and checked the entire house, but everything was locked. When I lay down again, the scratching started again. After the 4th time, I got angry, stood up, and said, "Whoever you are, leave. This is my house now, and I live here." I'd heard you need to claim your space in such situations, so I did. Believe it or not, the noises stopped after that. That childhood home has since been sold and demolished, and new houses have been built there. My parents no longer live there, but those memories are still vivid in my mind. I don't think I'll ever forget them. They've become a part of my life. Even now, when I visit a place, I can sense if there's a presence or a heavy environment. When I lived in my mother's house, I got so fed up that I started confronting these entities, telling them to stop. As long as I was scared, they kept bothering me. But when I stopped being afraid, they stopped too.